Hello, that's a man called Boris Johnson, who's just been appointed by Rothschild to become the Prime Minister of this country, which just happens to be called the United Kingdom. Yeah, and that is the massive scams of Tony Blair and his successors, Lord Kerr of Kinlochard, professing that they would give up the whole of the equivalent of the British pounds worth and make the euro refloatable, so that they could run the massive scams in the European network where every leader in Europe is a member of the secret societies that are the Illuminati and the black nobility. He's a Bullingdon boy. All of them are party players. That is the parties that they like to shag women in, and they like to have an assault or two against the other party goers. That's the man that sat down with David Dimbleby and proclaimed, when David Dimbleby revealed that he was a Bullingdon boy, he proclaimed that David Dimbleby and his family for 2 generations had been Bullingdon boys. And it's now the same. That's the Dimblebys had to resign from the TV programmes that they presented for decades and from the funerals that they had mourned at for the killing of the people in the royal family that just happened to be good. This one is a German. He was born in America. He is, let me show you what is, this is George Lee speaking, and the government are now banning everything that happens that is a proclamation that the government is crooked. That is, the videos I made in the last week have been banned completely because Lily Allen is the person that is presenting the ideas that the government now use to cover up their war crimes and their massive economic scams, almost all of them led by Rothschild and the families that appoint the prime ministers and the cabinet. And then when they go to their weddings, which was held at Rupert Murdoch's church in London, in Fleet Street, that is St Bride's, where they had massive lightning storms that day, but the powers that be have now taken the lightning storms out of the movies that are made and made it look as if when Lord Jacob Rothschild came out of the building that is the church, and that is the spiritual home for the press in Britain, it's been burnt to the ground more than anywhere else. St Bride's in London has been burnt to the ground because all of the mafia are trained, and that is their spiritual hometown. So let me now show you what Boris Johnson is. He's a Nazi. There he is. That is his real name. The Pfeffel family, ennobled as von Pfeffel. Let me just get rid of the naked women that the people that run the computers and the internet access are able to place on anybody's websites or live in their movie making now. That's at the other side of the screen. I will not show you it. I will not even dare tell you what it says. Only 5 minutes to ride and F her. That is how the government block the videos. And all of it happens on everybody's screens. So let's try and avoid that. You may have to wonder why the camera is pointed away from the center of the screen. Mary 36, only 2 kilometers away. I really want sex. Isn't it a grown-up government that we have? Okay, This is what it says about Donald's family name. Let me just read it as a historical archive, and we can get rid of the naked women. Oh no, maybe we can't. We'll just have to do it one at a time. There is Gottlieb Conrad Pfeffel. That's him. That is the head of the family, ennobled as von Pfeffel, is a German family, originally from Neuburg an der Donau in Bavaria. Guess what Neuburg is? That is Newcastle, which is another reason why the buffoons that are dropping like flies, because God realizes that they're all laughing at him or her or them. Yeah, that is Neuburg an der Donau in Bavaria. Yeah, that is Donald's homeland. That is Boris's homeland. Some family members were ennobled in Bavaria in the 19th century. Among the family's descendants are Alexander Boris de Pfeffel Johnson, the British Prime Minister. And I knew this already, but I've forgotten it. It's so long and they're so corrupted. And his brother Joe is an MI6 operative in the building adjacent to the Houses of Parliament in Westminster, which is why they faked up the London Bridge terror there. The family is descended from the watchman Johannes Pfeffel of Neuburg, Newcastle an der Donau, 1580 to 1634. His son Conrad Pfeffel, that's the Conradian dynasty, that were the Crusaders in the year dot, in the Holy Lands for land and profit, and to kill the other religions that Arius Piso and his family have launched into the world as the biggest cause of death. Okay, so his son Conrad Pfeffel, born 1605, was a tailor in Augsburg. Yeah, and was the father of pastor in Freiburg in Breisgau, Johann Conrad Pfeffel, 1636 to 1701. The latter's son, Johann Conrad Pfeffel, 1682 to 1738. Oh, it's become a little bit more civilized now. They're just showing products that are mobile phones as adverts right in the middle of the video. No one has asked that to be presented here, other than the people that are the powers that be. Yeah, and everybody's ranting on about 5G and this massive syndicate that is Richard Branson and the internet access and the people that are building the new train tracks all over the country to try and keep the heat off the mafia members that run it. Right then, okay. Men, eliminate your bedroom problems if you do this daily. Yet they want me to spend all of my money on new computers that can be corrupted like that. Yeah? Right then, so let's just keep going. Sad bastards. Oh, sorry, that might be offensive too. Right then, so we're in Conrad Pfeffel's story, moved from Freiburg to nearby Colmar in Alsace, which is in Switzerland, and that is where Basel and the Bank of International Settlements is, where he served as Stadtmeister, mayor. Do you get it? That's Boris Johnson's family obfuscating the fact that he was mayor of London, and the video that they refused to upload because it's got pictures of Lily Allen's parodies that Jesus never lived. Yeah, that is why Boris Johnson and the former governor for Iraq, that is Rory Stewart, want to be free of the accusations that they are war criminals already and that they want to become the mayor. There's Mary wants sex on the other side of the screen again. 2 kilometres away. Right then, so he was the father of, the latter son, Johann Conrad Pfeffel, moved from Freiburg to nearby Colmar in Alsace, where he served as Städtmeister, which is mayor, for half a year in 1727. He was the father of the historian, lawyer and diplomat Christian Friedrich Pfeffel, later Pfeffel von Griegelstein, 1726 to 1807. His son Christian Hubert Pfeffel von Kriegenstein, 1765 to 1834, served as the envoy of the Kingdom of Bavaria to the United Kingdom and was raised to the rank of friar. That's the god in the ancient pagan myths of beauty and love. Yeah, and that is the story where Thor had his hammer stolen, and to get it back he had to dress up as his sister Friar. Yeah, and there is Richard Branson this time popping up, and we're being told that there's a tragic accident. All of it is the massive scams of the have I got news for you sector that present all of the fake news on a Friday night at 6:30, and that is the scamsters that are Ant and Dec, that are frequently on rehab. Yeah, because the gods do not like the politicians and the actors to take the piss out of them or the concept that we have a functional democratic government. He was the father of Friar Karl Maximilian Friedrich Hubert Pfeffel von Kriegenstein, born 1811 in Dresden, died 1890 in Munich. Among the children of the latter were Freiherr Christian Hubert Theodor Marie Karl Pfeffel, born 1843 in Munich, died 1922, who was the father of Marie Louise von Pfeffel. And there's someone getting stabbed in the news now. Among the children of the latter were Freiherr Christian Hubert Theodor Marie Karl von Pfeffel, born 1843 in Munich, died 1922, who was the father of Marie Louise von Pfeffel, the great-grandmother of Boris Johnson, that she lived 1882 to 1944. That is the Pfeffel family that are now using the name Johnson. The family's history was explored in the BBC series Who Do You Think You Are? A younger brother of Christian Friedrich Pfeffel von Kriegelstein was the writer Gottlieb Conrad Pfeffel, 1736 to 1809, and a mummified corpse of a woman buried in the Barfurser Church in Basel, Switzerland, was identified in 2018, 43 years after the discovery, as Anna Katharina Bischoff, 1719 to 1787, the mother-in-law of Christian Friedrich Pfeffel von Kriegelstein, 1726 to 1807. And I'm now going to take you up to those tabs up there that are Wikitree tabs, and those are, all of them are showing how this lineage descends to the Tudors and the British throne, or the German throne, or the Russian throne, or the Austro-Hungarian throne, or the Islamic ruling places that are now threatening, with Donald Trump's help, to send the world into World War III. I'll explain that as we find them. Okay, let me just take the camera away in case we've got anything up there that we don't need to show you. There's the BBC, oh no. So there's Wiesenthal and Davos and all of the things that are being used by the Rothschild family, as always, to make everybody else's work look like anti-Semitic. Yeah, and that allows them to take the publication of the letters that I've received from the Scottish Justice Secretary that made Alex Salmond and Kenny MacAskill resign the day that they failed to win the first referendum. Yeah, all of that is absolutely crooked, and all of it is run with complicity of the social media, who've blocked those Lily Allen videos because they'd much rather let them pretend that Rory Stewart was never the governor for the brutalisation of Iraq, and that is the character that is now on Boris's cabinet. Yeah, with the same people that launched the London terror as they ran the point and fire virtual terror company that was paid to brutalise the London Bridge region, where Boris Johnson's brother is in MI6 at the end of the bridge. Yeah, in the MI6 building. That is Joe Johnson. We could get you a picture of him, I think. We'd best do it. So there's Boris Johnson, and there, coming up soon, is Joe. And the device is already claiming to be infected by the powers that be that are all paid for them to disrupt and then copyright infringe every movie that the analysts make. My mate John Patterson is still in jail. No one knows when he's going to be released. Okay, there is Joe, a high up figure in MI6. Now he's in the Parliament building too, I believe, and he's drawing down 2 salaries because he's a mafia operative with the Prime Minister. Yeah, and he's been through a couple of divorces, and he's always in the news on his sexual activities. That's not necessarily under the influence of alcohol with the rest of the Bullingdon Boy syndicate, Lord Jacob Rothschild's children. Right then, so there is Joe from MI6. Right then, let's start analysing what the Pfeffel family actually do. So that's what we've just read, and let's now go to some of those family trees that are openly published. Okay, this is one of them, the first one on the listings. This is Karl Maximilian Frederick Hubert von Pfeffel, 1811 to 1890. And we can skip through all of the things unless we see some highlights on the tree that are of interest. Yeah, and there is the naked women, only 5 minutes to ride and F. Yeah, it's absolutely sordid, and that is the likes of the activity of Ant and Dec and all the sensational things that are coming up, including Boris making a personal fortune from Bitcoin. I will not persecute him from that, because I believe it's only there to fool all of the potential investors that are prepared to give up their cash and believe that you can turn £300 into £5,000 in just a couple of days. Boris is leading the charge. As our morally upstanding Prime Minister, It's called pump and dump, and it is easy to fool the people with it. Right then, Karl Maximilian, Christian Friedrich Pfeffel von Kriegelstein. There's just some of the names. Let's get rid of the naked woman. Yeah, she was there just a couple of minutes ago. It's absolutely crooked, and that is how they try and silence the poor people that have to pay for the right to live off the streets. And I will get my revenge in this life or the next. I don't know if Boris believes in that. Right then, so there's Christian von Pfeffel. Remember that these are all the families that descend to the Pfeiffers and the P&F syndicates that are, they then, in the middle names, launch the word Christ. Yeah, this lot are even more inventive than that. And I'll show you that when we get to the genie family trees. Yeah, and the people that become the Islamic menace are his in-laws. Right then, Gernler, Bischoff, dozens of them. That is the body that they found under the London Bridge. Let's see if we can get a picture of it. Wiesenthal, Davos, Boris Johnson, Cracroft's peerage. Oh yeah, this is quite informing. His first name is Alexander, like the earliest papal bloodlines. Yeah, and there is Stanley Patrick Johnson, MEP, and Charlotte Offlaw Fawcett. That is the parents of Alexander Boris de Pfeffel Johnson, born not in England or in Germany, but in New York City, like a man called Donald, that everybody is now aware is trying to steal the world with the help of the Rothschilds and the guidance and the financing of the Rothschilds and the Nazis that they've always worked with. There is Osmond Wilfred Kemal, that is the Archdukes in Austro-Hungary. Yet that is Austro-Hungary that is better known for the friends of these people that are now married to Mick Jagger, and that is a man called Rupert Murdoch, who's in the syndicate, and he went to the Geelong school where Boris Johnson just happened to be a school teacher. That is how they learn what their protocols are to rob their electorates blind. Rupert Murdoch does not need to be elected. There is Osmond Wilfred Kemal, born Christchurch, died Taunton. Yvonne Eileen Irene Williams, died Taunton, November 1987. Sir James Edmund Sandford Fawcett died Oxford, which was, remember, immune from bombing like Heidelberg, Göttingen and Cambridge, right through the wars that these sad bastards engineer. Yeah, there is Ali Kemal, this is the great-grandparents now. Yeah, that is the Kemal, and that is the people that were the Ataturks in Turkey and Austro-Hungary. Sorry, this time it's not going to allow me to get rid of the device is infected warning. Okay, so there's Fawcett. He's married in St Pancras. I don't know if that's St Bride's too. Francis Beatrix Lowe in Woodstock, born Woodstock. There is Ali Kemal Bey, Turkish Minister of the Interior, born Constantinople, and that is very likely to be the interior in World War I. Yeah, I have no evidence for that. That is a bit stupid of me to say that. Ali Kemal Bey, Turkish Minister of the Interior, born Constantinople, which is where the Archduke had his head blown off so the Rothschild family could take over his hunting lodge and launch the war. Yeah, that is the massive war, and that is the hunting lodge for the Rothschilds that used to belong to the Archduke, whose son suicided in the building, in inverted commas, and the dad was killed in a truck on the Hume Bridge in Sarajevo. Yet they've got it all sussed out, and that is why they've got an Austro-Hungarian woman married to a man called Donald Trump, and she's the most innocent person in the story so far, except for the prostitutes that are popping up in the bottom corner. There is Winifred Emma Brunn of Warwick, Bournemouth, and possibly New Brunswick, and that is the Brown family that are legends for being married to a man called Hitler Alois Rothschild. Stanley Fred Williams, Lloyd's underwriter, Baroness Marie Louise von Pfeffel, Reverend Joseph Fawcett, Edith Annie Scattergood, born West Bromwich, Prophelius Avery Lowe, later Lowe, the darts players, and all the folk that are from the Frankfurt ghettos, like Rothschilds, Rockefeller, and all the families that are able to block my videos and to take the pictures down of the family trees in the Frankfurt ghetto that allows then Rothschild to make videos that demonize the Nazi troops and the death camps for gassing the inmates. That is the Juden gas joke for the richest and most murderous family in world history. As usual, they're not named. Yeah, all of their babies are anonymous, and all of those are Queen Victoria's bastards. Helen Tracy Lowe Porter. Okay, here's another Kamal, great-great-grandparents this time. And we cannot get rid of the images. There is great-great-grandparents listings now. That will go up to 16, I think. Amit Hamdi Kamal, Hanif Farid. Yeah, this is the Prime Minister of England, who was born in New York and has been a teacher in the Geelong School in Australia, and has been the London Mayor, which is why they are banning my videos on the successors as the London mayors. Yeah, and the mayors that were his ancestors are the reason that he became the mayor. Do you get it now? Born Bloomsbury for the Bloomsbury set. Right then, let's get rid of the porn, and the device is infected. Yeah, I wonder where it came from. Baroness Helene, oh no, sorry, we've missed it. Amit Hamdi Kamal, Hanif Farid, Francis Julius Brunn, Margaret Hannah Johnson, Frederick George Williams, born Bloomsbury again, Blanche Anne Dannett, Baron Christian Hubert von Pfeffel, born Munich, died Paris, 1922. And there is William Fawcett, Augill House, Bruff, and that is 1864. Annis Clark, James Scattergood, JP, Mary Ann Stamps. Those are the Stamps and the Farish families that are scamming the whole of the American citizen base and the English and European families that have been robbed blind by the Stamps families and the Farish families that are best friends as treasonous profiteers. They have now bought Royal Dutch Shell. Yeah, that is BP is theirs. All of it is the wars that happened in 1963, and Stamps and Farish host the Queen of England right through the history of the transatlantic alliance, which is the biggest set of war crimes that ever happened, thanks to George W. Bush, the Stamps and Farish families, and the Tysons, and the trading with the enemy that was all meant that they all become billionaires. Yeah, and that is the Bushes, and then they get rid of the next decent presidents that are their predecessors had their heads blown off their shoulders. Okay, there's Charles Lowe, Sarah Raguler, Henry Clinton Porter, Clara Holcomb, and that's the end of that great-great-grandparent listing. So, there's the 8 have just been listed, as we've already told. Then we get the 9th one, Sir George Williams, founder of the YMCA movement, Young Men's Christian Association. Yeah, do you get it? That is the killing of every pagan on this earth, and all of them are their friends before they turn on them. Helen Jane Maunder Hitchcock of the Frankfurt Ghetto. Christopher Dannett Seed Factor, Lydia Martha Errol, daughter of Robert William Errol, Baron Carol Pfeffel, Baroness Caroline Pauline von Rottenburg, illegitimate daughter of Paul, Prince of Württemberg. And that next door is a guy called Branson, and he's had a tragic accident. He's the one that used to attend the Travel Lodge hotels that I used to live in Dundee. Yeah, Christopher Dannett, Seed Factor, Lydia Martha Errol, daughter of Robert William Errol, Carol von Pfeffel, Baroness Caroline Pauline von Rottenburg, illegitimate daughter of Paul, Prince of Württemberg. Baron Jules Arnoux Rivière, Josephine de Coulac Mazeriex, daughter of Joseph de Coulac Mazeriex. Fenton Fawcett Farmer. Those are the Fentons that are on the family trees for the man that said, "Your country needs you." I forget what he was named, Lord Kitchener. Eleanor Hanmore, daughter of Joseph Hanmore, Joseph Clark, Anne Lamb, daughter of John Lamb. Robert Scattergood, brickmaker, Mary Ogden, Thomas Stamps Farish, for Queenie's massive treason, if it is still Queenie and not just a body double. Mary Bratt, 24th on the listings. There is Lowe again. There is Ragoli, There is Henry Clinton Porter. I wonder where he fits into the story. Queen of England's half-brother is the answer to that. That's the Queen of England that trades with the Farish and Parish families and now owns Royal Dutch Shell. Donald has two of the other companies all wrapped up, and it is a massive syndicate, and none of you guys in the public sector all over the world get pay rises from the sad bastards, all of whom are on the Committee of 300 and the Club of 1001, and they rape and pillage the lands and kill the wildlife there in the name of the World Wildlife Fund that Camilla's brother died for. Judson Holcomb, Maria Nobles, yeah, and that's the end. And there's a copyright deal on that. All rights reserved. Do you understand why? Farish and Parish is the scam that was negotiated with Hitler so that they could go to America and be the Fourth Reich. Yeah, and that is the Jumanji film again. A massive mistake. Right then, so let's get on with the other. Google Translate English to Spanish. Now my friends in the hotel here have been trying to translate Pfeffel into English this morning, but Google will not play. They immediately have closed down the Austrian Nobility's Almanac as soon as I tried to look up that name on the Almanac. Yeah, they closed the Austrian Almanac down. Yeah, let me show you my attempts to do that are legitimate, and there is the official website of the Almanac de Saxe-Gotha, copyright held 1995 to 2020. That will not allow me to search for Pfeffel. Yeah, let's show you what happens when you search for Pfeffel on the web. This site and the web. Here we go. Search. Yeah, it just keeps doing that, and then it runs out of time. I've done it about half a dozen times this morning. Let's wait until we see the typical response. Can you remember me using those almanacs to track down all of the other people that are called von Brazier? That's Theresa May. The whole of it is a mafia op right through European history and into every colony where every pagan is now dead or enslaved. Sorry, it's not going to do. Let's go back to it later on. Nobility of Austria, I wish, yeah, Boris and his administrators have commissioned the blocking of all of that since I discovered his Nazi roots last night. Yeah, Pfeffel, search. Let's try it on 2 pages at the same time. Let's see if they've come up with an answer. Confirm form resubmission. This web page requires data that you entered earlier in order to be properly displayed. Yeah, and you've seen that I'm on their index and nothing actually comes out. The operation has timed out. That's what I got earlier this morning. Yeah? An unhandled exception was generated during the execution of the current web request. That is looking up my Prime Minister's ancestry. Yeah? It's too big a request for them to allow to happen. And it does not tell you where the website is run from. It may be in Austria, or it may be in 10 Downing Street. That's the Austrian nobility that live there. But we're not allowed to know who their cousins are. Right then, let's keep going and look up the people that are on the tree. Let's go from the other end, because I've done that several times and I'm getting bored with it. Okay, here's an interesting one, because it's got the word PISO, that's the Bible author, and the naming of the global police under pistols in the name. That's the Christian name for the author of the Bible is PISO. Clement Posey in the acting teams and in the Malmaison Hotel, where she confirmed that she was an actress in Hollywood. That's Preston and the earliest summer wars that were incredibly fought by French and German armies in the city of Edinburgh, which is also completely treasonous. Thanks to people like Lord Sanderson of Bowden, who runs the Walter Scott Club in Edinburgh and the military tattoo there for personal gain. So there is Sopny von Pressen. I don't know how to pronounce that B there. I'll get some of my friends to help me with that. Let's now have a look at the family tree and see if it's interesting. So that's sister, it's easier to read it, sister of Anno Hohenzollern, which just happens to be the name used for the Kaisers. That is the grandchildren of Queen Victoria, who are actually the grandchildren of the Rothschild brothers that shagged Queen Victoria out of wedlock. Anna Hohenzollern, Maria Hohenzollern, von Brandenburg, Bayreuth, and all of the places that are in the Swiss Alps. Albrecht, Friedrich, Hohenzollern, Eleanor Hohenzollern, Willem Hohenzollern, and Magdalena Sibylle Hohenzollern, wife of Wilhelm Kettler, and the earliest bankers to come across. That is the duelist movie again. Okay, mother of Jacob Kurland Kettler, and I think a Kur is a tiger or a leopard, but I'm not classy enough to know that for sure. Let's take you to the bottom first, and it gets much more interesting that way, because you can see how close they are to the royalty. There it is. Sopny, with the word PISO in it, who wrote the Bible and used that Bible at everybody's royal weddings, is 23 degrees from Daniel Layard, 20 degrees from Jack London, and 4 degrees from Henry VIII of England on our single family tree. That's 4 cousins away. I'll show you in a couple of seconds. To find your connection, let's have a look at that first. And let's see what our ancestry is. I assume it's a woman. You can inform me if that's wrong in the thumbnails and the feedback for the video, if I'm allowed to fucking publish it. Open link in new window. Oh, sorry, I missed it. There it is. So there's a man called Henry Tudor that I do not think was German. He's so close to all of them that I now believe that all of them have pre-planned the plot on how to take over the world, and every couple of decades or so they have another world war. Yeah, or a murderous revolution, and all of the aristocrats lead the armies, and all of them are Rothschild bastards right through world history. Unless they're Kaiser's bastards. Yeah, that is, Queen Victoria is the grandmother of Kaiser Wilhelm that was buried under a swastika icon, even although they lost the war. Yeah, there is Anne of Cleves, who was the wife, and I think he let her off the hook because she was not the world's most attractive woman, and that could get the video blocked too. Wilhelm V. von Jülich Cleveberg, her brother, that is Berg in the Usual Suspects movie, and the massive attempts of their families to burn the politicians to death in their cars. Maria Eleanor Jülich Cleveberg, his daughter, that's Wilhelm V. von Jülich Cleveberg, her brother. Yeah, and there is Sopny von Pressen, her daughter. Right then, so we're on the move now. So that's Sopny with the word PISO in it, 1610 or thereabouts. And we could have a look at the whole of the tree, but let's now just first go through. There is another ancestor in this bloodline tree, very closely connected to the people that are next to her, and that is Henry VIII of England, is 7 degrees from Elizabeth von Saxon, Meiningen. That is the Saxon families that are actually in the Awakenings movie, featuring Robin Williams, like the scam that is Farish and Parish, and the stealing of the oil companies from other countries, Queenie. Yeah, and then allowing Farish to come, Stamps Farish, to come and plot with you on how they're going to keep the money stream going forever. And that is the Jumanji film, which is proclaiming that William the Conqueror lived on the Jumanji Normandy headland, and that is the massive jokes that Robin Williams is related to him. Do you get it? Robin Williams the Conqueror. Parish family member. Farish is the name of the conspiracy with the Queen of England to steal the world's oil wealth, and she's done it, and they have no qualms about that until the gods start to give them nervous attacks when they're laying the poppy wreaths to commemorate the people that they killed for that oil. Yeah, there is Henry Tudor, Anne of Cleves, his wife, Wilhelm von Jülich Cleve. This is the same story. There is Maria Eleanor Jülich Cleveberg. There is Sopny von Pressen. Her son is Jacob Kurland. Friedrich Casimir Kettler. And one other this time. Elizabeth Brandenburg. Yeah, that's the Brandons that are the pop singers and sing about the man who is Arius Piso, who wrote the Bible. The name of their band is The Killers. Yeah, and that is very appropriate indeed in every conflict we've ever had. Yeah, that's Sachs and the design of drugs to prevent restless legs syndrome, Robin Williams. Yeah, he's the actor that played the doctor that was the serial killer in the NHS scam to keep the people in fear. Yeah, that is Harold Shipman, was played by Robin Williams. Look at the pictures on my website and you cannot deny it. Right then, back we go in time. Elizabeth Sophie Brandenburg, and the Killers are fabulous musicians, but they make the sun go in when they sing about the man that has replaced the sun god totally right through world history. Elizabeth Sophie Brandenburg, yeah? Von Saxon Meiningen. Oh my goodness. I'm not even pressing the buttons now. Thank you to my choreographers. So, there is Elizabeth, is 23 degrees from Daniel Leard, 20 degrees from Jack London, and 7 degrees from Henry VIII of England. This is family line by family line. So we will not bore you all of the time with all of the details that you've already seen. We'll just jump to the younger member who's a claimant to Henry VIII's throne. And next to him is a man called Richard Branson, but I did not put him there. I will not show you them there, because he's there to copyright the video and to shut me the fuck up on the social media, like they did with Lily Allen and all of the Muppet Show that is government yesterday. That is the replacement of Mayor Boris with the man who was the war criminal in Iraq, the governor for Iraq, Rory Stewart, totally banned because of Lily Allen's songs. Right then, and there's only 5 minutes to ride and F her. Yeah, that is how the social media run the massive scams and the expectations of the people that if you invest in a fake scam that we tell you you just need to invest £300, you'll get 5,000 back, like Boris did last week. Yeah, and the hungry eaters then lose all of their savings. Let's see what the 7 degrees are this time. This is Henry VIII of England is 7 degrees from Elizabeth von Saxe. That is the name of the role that Robin Williams played in Awakenings. And he died with restless leg syndrome, because that is the God that gives me my instructions. Yeah, Henry Tudor, Anne of Cleves, Willem von Jülich, where's me Julie, Maria Eleanor Jülich Cleveberg, and this time the last one is the member of the Killers that is Brandenburg. Oh, it's very, very similar to what we've done already. Let's keep going back. This is a bishop, and those are the people that they found buried at the bottom of the tunnels. Let's see if we can find a picture of that. Do you remember the Rothschild hangings under the London Bridge to keep people scared? And I believe that was the papacy that they hung up to dry. So, oh, there's nothing on that one. Here's Rudolph Mike Bishop, 1879 to 1942, right in the middle of the war, when the Bushes were already into America as the Fourth Reich. And Rudolph is a famous name at Christmas time, yet since Jesus took over from the real gods, which is why we're now getting the massive biblical floods and weather storms all over the world. Absolutely fascinating for an objective professor of brain science. Rudolph Mike Bishop, yeah, Vienna, Austria, like the Kaisers, yeah, and Frederick the Great, and all of the lookalikes that walk up and down the pavement or I don't know where their ethnic background is. There is husband of Augusta Louisa Maria Shear Bischoff, married 10th July 1909 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So this may not have a king or a queen at the bottom, but there's only one way to find out, and there's a pair of tits in my way. Yeah, Augusta Shear and Rudolph Bischoff. And let's go down and see what it says. Are they royals? Isn't it tense? Rudolph is 23 degrees from Daniel Layard, 20 degrees from Jack London, and 21 degrees from Henry VIII of England. This time we'll get loads of pictures, but not of naked women, but people with crowns on their head, because they're descended to Rothschild. Eventually, with massive gaps in the family tree, yeah, for the raping of the victims that had to be raped using date rape drugs, like Queen Victoria. Right now, let's have a look at this tree this time. Let's go to the top and see, no, let's see if there's a picture of the person. Oh God, I can't find it. English to Spanish, Wiesenthal. So Bischoff, Shear Bischoff in Wisconsin. Yeah, let's just go back. Let's put that there so it cannot see the naked woman on the other side. Yeah, that I cannot get rid of, despite the fact that I've been working with computers since the computers I started with in my laboratories were half the size of the laboratory. Yeah, that is the policing and intel methods that they use to shut the people up, yeah, when they're releasing the information about how their leaders were chosen and what their genealogy is. So I cannot see the Bischoff skeleton image on this one either. The operation has timed out. That is the nobility of Austria. And we've got one of the websites back to the index, but they will not tell us the story. Like Google Translate. So, let's go back a bit further in time. There's the one we've just done, 1879 to 1942, Vienna in Austria, for Frederick the Great's residence. And there is the Bischoff family trees, and we'll be able to analyse them in due course. So let's keep going back until we find some more interesting and larger family trees. I thought we had found one with over 20 people in it. Is that it? Right now, down we go. Rudolph Bischoff, age 61. There is the 21 degrees from Henry VIII. Let's have a little explore. Okay, 21 degrees from Rudolph Bischoff, from Henry Tudor, who was the brother, I think, of Mary Queen of Scots, who got her head lopped off, and that is the next sister was Queen Elizabeth I, who was there the day the head went missing. And that is the launch of Davidson, who was the treasonous person that gave the orders to behead Queen Mary, and her lover was the man that was eventually the lover of Queen Elizabeth I. It's absolutely ruthless, and that is Ruth Davidson as the cover for that into the Scottish Parliament. So, let's get rid of the naked woman, and then I'll show you who's on the family tree. So there's Tudor again, we've done that bit. There is, oh, it's new people now. Henry Stuart, her husband, is married. Margaret Tudor is the wife of Henry Stuart, and Margaret is the daughter of Henry VIII. So this is interesting this time. Sorry to bore you so far. There is Janet Stuart. There is Gilbert Kennedy, her son. There is Hugh Kennedy, her son. That may be the Kennedys that we're so familiar with that got their heads blown off by a family called Bush, that are one of the biggest war criminal families that ever lived on this earth. Yeah, and that is the kind of scams that Farish and the Queen of England are engaged in right through their lives. Mary Upton, his wife, William Kennedy, her son, James Henderson Kennedy, his son, Anne Kennedy, his daughter, Phineas, remember that name from the movie that had the man with the lightning conductor above the church, and he was the preacher in the church, and the lightning conductor came down and went right through his heart. I can't remember the name of the actor. That is Alcee Wilson, his sister, James Fox, her son, Matthias Fox, his son, James Fox, his son, Everett Fox, his son, Ruth Prott, his wife, William Pratt, her brother. That is in the Python's parody. That is Pratt and Sons when they go back from the war. Yeah, just want to be ordinary people. There is Anna Shear, William Pratt's mother. There is Augusta Shear, her sister, and there is Rudolph Bischoff. That is Augusta, that was the launch of the golf courses in America for Donald Trump. And there is Rudolph Bischoff, her husband. So it's getting a bit boring. How can we sex it up without the pictures in the corner? So Bishop genealogy, family tree. Let's go back to Vase. This is ancient Rome. Yeah, it's quite stunning. And let's show you the Vase family trees. Henry VIII of England is 16 degrees from Osman Kamal Wilfred Johnson. Those are the Kamals that are the grandparents of a man called Boris Johnson, your Prime Minister. You're ever so unlucky to have leaders like that, but they are the second in command to Rothschild, which is why he was picked. That is Rothschild with all of the other contenders running the Future of Russia Foundation in fucking Russia. Yeah, that is the Hermitage building in St. Petersburg and the massive directorates that Lord Jacob Rothschild and Prince Charles have in those boards. Henry VIII Tudor, Anne Cleves. Yeah, we're getting bored with this now, and there's the woman in the bath with her tits out again. Yeah, Wilhelm von Jülich-Cleeve-Berg, Maria Eleanor Jülich-Cleeve-Berg, we've done it. There's the Wettins now, and there's the Kaisers that sired the Wettings. There is Magdalene Sibylle Saxon Wessenfeld, his daughter. That is the naming of the rifles that I believe killed Kennedy in Boston. There is Friedrich Saxe-Gotha Altenburg, her son. There is Augusta Saxe-Gotha Altenburg, his daughter. There is Augusta Hanover, her daughter. There is Auguste Brunswick Wolfenbüttel from ancient Rome, sucking the wolves' teats. Do you get it? Romulus and Remus. That is Wolfie Mozart and the families that were allowed to play for the massive Austrian nobility that we're not allowed to investigate in their almanac. Paul Württemberg, her son. There is Caroline von Rottenburg, his daughter. There is Hubert von Pfeffel, that's Boris's family name. Yeah? And he will change it again after this revelation is made if the video is allowed to be published. Yeah, that is the liberty of the country run by the fascists, and the people that have resigned as head of Labour have been the topic of my videos, and they are actually vicars in my hometown, and all of it is designed to try and get me back in the asylum that the doctors that run the Bank of International Settlement scams were trying to cover. Marie-Louise von Pfeffel, his daughter. There's Branson coming in again. Let's get rid of the other 4 adverts. Yeah, there's Irene Williams. That's why Robin is chosen. Osmond Kemmel Wilfred Johnson, her husband. That is Kemal and the Archdukes. So, I think we should continue. Let's go to the family tree for Boris. There is the man. Right Honourable Boris Johnson, MP, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and there is his mum, and this is a massive piss take. Yeah, there is a man called Max Wohl, and it's always bemused me why he's a very popular entertainer right through world history. This morning I learned why. There is Charlotte Johnson Wohl, Boris's mum. Max Wohl is the buffoon that was the parent. That's the Wohl family that is Boris's mum. And there is the Right Honourable Boris Johnson, MP, PC, Police Constable, perhaps, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Yeah, with their Aryan blonde hairdo. Let me show you the brother Joe. There is, yeah, Max Wohl. I cannot show you it. You look up Max Wohl and dancing like an Egyptian. All of it is buffoonery, which is why he's been picked. And let's go into the OneNote profiles and see if we can see what his genealogy actually is. His Kemal tree, and there is the tree. Right then, there in the top is 2 generations back, as we've already seen, is Bey Ali Kemal, that one. There is Sabina Bey, oh sorry, I'm going to have to enlarge it a wee bit. Oh, and we can't do that. Sabina Bey Hanum. Oh yeah, there we are. So that's better. Bey Ali Kamal, Sabina Bey Hanimi, Winifred Emma Mary Kamal Brun, Stanley Fred Williams, Marie Louise von Pfeffel. Yeah, that's the original name for Donald's tree. Yeah, Pfeffel, 1882 to 1944, I think. Reverend Joseph Fawcett, Edith Fawcett Scattergood. These are the people that we've already done in higher resolution. Elias Avery Lowe of the Frankfurt Ghetto and the darts teams all across the world. And we're now going to have to clash with one of those adverts. Yet there is no way I can use this computer with my massive archive on it without them making a mess of my videos and then banning them. Yeah, there is Stanley Patrick Johnson. There is Charlotte Johnson Wohl, the cover for Dance Like an Egyptian. Yeah, that is all of that Egyptian pyramid stuff that is in the stories by the songs that were also sung by Wilson, Keble and Beckett or something like that. Yeah, that is them dancing like Egyptians as skull and bone looking characters, and all of it is the killing of all of the people in all of the wars in North Africa under the rule of the families that are related to the newsreaders that still read the news every evening. Yeah, that is the leader of the 8th Army in North Africa, and that is the grandparent of the person who still reads the news. She's Cathy Kay in the BBC every night, and that is sometimes the American correspondent on the news for the BBC in the White House. So, let's get rid of the tabs and the adverts, and let's get on with profiling the family tree, just to embarrass them. Elias Avery Lowe. Down we go to page 2. Stanley Fred Williams, Marie Louise Pfeffel, Irene Williams, 1907 to 87. Stanley Patrick Johnson, Right Honourable Boris, and there is one of his wives. He's had 2 or 3 already, but when I tried to put the current images of that with his children up, that told me, and the gods brought the clouds over, and that was to say that he's not going to let you publish pictures of his children or his ex-wife or the lovers that he now has. Yeah, all of it was profiled by Abel Danger and the activities of the women that were his wives are the top 100 most evil women in the world. But because I do not believe Abel Danger are truthful either, I will not publicise any of that. Right then, so you can see how much has got to be a secret before you, and that